one.
Hey guys, JT Trousdale here with Jagras. We are on a State Farm claim number 074-922-8978. It is 10/18 on the date, 69 degrees outside. We always want to talk about the temperature because the manufacturers have a temperature range as to when you can be either installing shingles or repairing shingles. If it's too cold, the shingles get too stiff. You can potentially damage them that way. And then of course, if it's too hot, and you're getting on the roof, at that point in time, that matting is so heated that you'll begin to see the granule being manipulated. So we want to make sure we're within those ranges. 69 degrees is dead center, so we're good to go on that one. Now what we're doing today is a good faith repair video. We're trying to show the repairability of this roof. If we can get this repair done and it does not damage the shingles above it, then we know it's repairable. If in the process of repairing one shingle, we're damaging multiple shingles in that process, and obviously it is a non-repairable roof, we want to make sure that we provide all of that information to the adjuster so they can make the appropriate decision for coverage for the customer. Now, with that being said, State Farm is really big on this tool. This is called a roof snake. You'll learn, especially if you've watched any of my videos before, I absolutely detest this tool. It had a really good idea, just a really poor performance whenever they made it. So they want us to use this. The reason they want us to use this is traditionally we're allotted up to 45 degrees to lift that shingle to be able to nail down the shingle securely. And then of course, in the process of getting the shingles broke loose and getting those nails took out as well. 45 degrees is what the manufacturer allows us to lift, where they say, hey, the way this was engineered, anything beyond this point, you're potentially creating damage. Up to this point, you should be good, so long as that roof is not too old and too brittle. That's what we're trying to prove here. Now with this tool, we don't actually have to lift the shingle all the way up to the 45 because you can place a nail in this little slot right here. Now, again, great idea. Good intentions, bad delivery, because when you run this up and underneath the shingle and the shingle catches the front of the strike plate, where that nail sits at, there's two predominant issues. It puts the nail right into the tar line, which is improper. On a 3-tab roof, you either go directly below the tar line or directly above it, depending on the manufacturer, but it is never in it. When you nail inside of a tar line, that nail will pull down and it'll pull that tar in. Well, now the shingle above it can't adhere to the tar strip in its entirety, so it's not sealing down correctly. But anyways, so the other part to that too is you can't see your nail. Obviously this does not sit in here perfectly snug because of the gap that they got for the nail head. So when you're putting it in, what we see a lot of times is the way that this sits on the roof, you end up driving the nail in on an angle, so now it's not seating flush with the shingle. That's also an improper repair. And then of course the most obvious part is you can see the curved part of this. Whenever you are underneath a shingle, when you're holding it to nail it down and get the nail started, once you get down to the bottom of this, you have to come off of the nail, come back up and on top of it. And at that point, you're too close to the roof. You can no longer hold it, which means it has to sit flat. And as you can see, if I'm bumped up to the bottom lip of this, where the nail would be getting put in at, this curved foot at the bottom, when I'm striking this hammer surface, I'm making an indention onto the shingle that's not being repaired. So I'm damaging the shingles beneath it just by using this tool. Now, we use this because, again, State Farm requests us to, so we're going to do it just like we normally do. But what we're in essence doing is we're revealing the non-repairability of the roof in terms of pliability of the shingle for an improper install by using this tool. So we do it for the video because they ask us, but in a traditional repair sense, we will never, ever, as a roofing company, use this tool. We always use the E-swing ply bar. It's got a much wider foot. So when you're coming up underneath trying to get these broke through, you're a lot less likely to puncture through the shingle, as well as you got a little more slide room. And then of course you can see here, when this sits flat, it comes up at about a 45. On our E-swing pry bar, it comes up at a 25-degree angle. So even when we're getting those nails loose, we're never lifting the shingle up to that 45. So that is the predominant tool used by all the roofing professionals. Again, this was pushed by State Farm, but we always want to oblige. We're here to help. We're on the same team. We just want to make sure we give them enough evidence to make the appropriate decision. And then, of course, we understand, too, those adjusters get reviewed just like everybody else does. So if his manager's asking questions or her manager's asking questions, we want to make sure that our video gave enough evidence that they're not getting questioned as to why they took this from a repair to a full replacement. So, again, team effort to make sure we're taking care of the customer. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. You'll see I have some marks here. This is where the nail should be to show a proper install. In this area, sometimes you'll see a 4-nail pattern. Sometimes you'll see a 6. If it's a 6-nail pattern, the nails will be offset here. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. A 6-nail pattern is not required by the manufacturer on this roof because the pitch doesn't meet. However.com, they allow you to do it if you want to, because obviously it's just extra fastening, extra security of the shingle. But on this pitch, all that is required is 4. We'll see what's underneath here once we get rolling. So we'll get started. Now, when I slide underneath here, I always will push up. I'll kind of hold my hand down because sometimes with these older roofs, it'll give way really quickly, and the last thing I want is to shoot up and underneath the shingle and end up jabbing this through the shingle. I don't want to damage this roof. I'm going to be way more gentle and careful than anybody that has roofed for 20 plus years is going to be when they're doing an actual repair for a customer on a roof, especially when it's insurance related. Insurance pays $14 per shingle to put somebody on a roof. You can see the steepness and the height of this roof. There's a chance of them falling off. There's a chance of damaging the roof. $14 really just ain't it. So they're for sure not fixing to sit here and take 20 minutes to repair a shingle. We're going to be really, really gentle with it. We want to do that because we don't want any damage that may occur to be a result from us being too aggressive. So we'll go ahead and get started. I will always use a side-to-side motion, never a back and forth, because I don't want to jab through the shingle. What I'm hoping to do is slide it through and kind of cut through and pry, and that way we mitigate any matting transfer if we can. And then of course it's ensuring we're not pulling through the surface of that shingle. Seems like it's coming up okay. Kind of funny that you can see this. We did take a before picture before the repair, because sometimes with the videos with it moving, it's kind of hard to see some of the stuff. So we always get a still shot before the repair and a still shot after the repair to show. But even just doing this here, right here where this tar strip's at, you can see where getting that shingle broken loose and that little bit of bend that it was causing in that shingle. I've already got a crease right here where the tar line's at. This already had a crease at the top. That's why we're repairing it. This one had a crease as well. So we'll see if we begin to see that throughout. But anyways, we'll get to rolling. Now, something too that I do want to point out, whenever we're coming up and underneath here, again, I want to be very careful pulling through, but there's things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for creasing in the matting. I'm looking for mat transfer underneath. That is where, when you pull this shingle up, if the tar strip is ripping the matting off the bottom of the shingle, then that shingle will never seat back down right. Even when I get this shingle out and I put the new one in, that matting transfer will still be on that tar line, which means the new shingle will no longer seat right. And if we see that across the other 2 rows, then we know we have damaged these shingles through and through. They're never going to seal back down right. Thus, the water membrane function of the roof has been compromised. It's a little more stiff, and again, we're starting to see that creasing across. So we got these 3 tabs broke loose. You can see they're loose now. Obviously just that little bit of movement, granules coming off of them. It's already looking pretty textbook, but we'll go through it. Now I've got to get these next 2 rows up as well, because to get to these nails, it's under this row, but then the shingle of the nails for this row catches the top of this shingle. So we have to break this row loose as well. I got to pull the nails out of this row and this row. Wow, just that little bit of movement, I'm already seeing it creasing. That's crazy. To even get it at that low of an angle, it's definitely not typical. But you can feel these shingles, man, they're really, really stiff. Pulling across, I'm seeing debris come out and underneath them, so we know that, that came loose pretty easy. We know that obviously these are being lifted, so definitely textbook. Just really got to get this row beneath it. Lord, it jumped rows on me, didn't I? That one came loose pretty easy. That one. All right, so I've got my rows loose above the shingle I need to repair. So now we're going to get underneath here and get the nails out, see what the shingles kind of look like. We're going to be looking for the mat transfer underneath as well. We'll be able to see it really good because this shingle will come completely out. So let's go ahead and get started with that process. All right, nail right here. So far so good on the initial install. Nail right here. Have a split. These are two different shingles, so I've got two nails close together right here. And then our nail here. So all right, so nails where they're supposed to be. Whoever done the roof before, good install, good on you. Here in just a second, Jason, I'll borrow the phone from you.
All right.
There is extreme mat transfer. I'm talking about like plugs pulled out of the bottom. I can tell you right now, if that's the case on any few of these, this roof is absolutely 100% not going to be repairable. It's on this one as well. And again, being careful to not lift this beyond its 45. Now I like to use nice firm pressure. When I push down, you can feel the nail turning loose versus just trying to jackhammer, because if you do that, then your pry bar ends up poking through. You don't want to do that. Again, split the two shingles. There it goes. And again, the other reason I dislike this tool is because it's so thick. The E-swings it tapers out about that far out, so it's very thin. You can really get underneath those nail heads easy. And then it's got a nice wide footprint, so when you are trying to pull those through, a lot of times it'll ensure that the nail's not pulling through the shingle. This one pulls them through the shingle pretty bad. So we should be good. Now, you see your phone? All right, guys, so I want you to see this, get it to focus in. That, my friend, is audacious mat transfer. You see where it has literally ripped the matting out of here, and then you have sections where it ripped the matting from the bottom of this shingle and left it on top of here. But you can see that is insane mat transfer. So here's the tar line that's supposed to be beneath it. Again, you see extreme mat transfer. There's absolutely no way that this roof is going to be repairable. If we lift this up, you can see the bottom of it ripped out. You can see the same thing here. You see the chunk sitting on the bottom there. So we've got mat transfer here, mat transfer here. You can see it there. Mat transfer underneath. You see it stuck to the bottom of the shingle. I could literally stop the video now. This is absolutely not a repairable roof, but we are going to get this shingle put back into place. And then furthermore, if you look right here, I'm going to try to show you this. You've seen in this video that we have done minimum lifting of these shingles. Watch here. I don't know if you can see all those granules coming out, but you got a hard crease line right across the top here. See if you can get it here. Get my hand out of the way. You've seen it blow out, and now you can see that crease line going right across the top here. So not only do we have mat transfer, we have crease lines on the shingles as well. You can see it literally coming out just by tapping the shingle. You see it running down the shingle there. So 100% textbook non-repairable. I'm gonna give this back to him to finish the repair. Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
All right. I'll move these nails to the bottom of a pitch hopper, because the last thing I want to do is, in the middle of this fantastic video that we're trying to put together for the customer and the adjuster, is to kneel down on one of them nails and slip out some dirty dirt. So we don't want to do that. All right. So we're going to get this one up top. And again, you can see, I'll show you this for comparison as well. You see what this tar line is supposed to look like. Nice and solid all the way across. You can see where it's ripped out half of that tar line, the other half that was there stuck to the bottom. This roof is absolutely not repairable. This should be a very easy decision for the adjuster to make the appropriate decision and take care of their customer. And of course, always acting in good faith of the customer's best benefit. We understand that these adjusters are here to look for reasons to provide coverage. That is their due diligence. That's what's required by law. So we want to make sure we're giving them everything they need to do that. So we'll go ahead and get started putting these back. Now, again, normally what I would do here is lift the shingle, start the nail. I can see where I'm putting the nail. I can make sure that it's going in square with the roof, that it's sitting flush. I'm not hammering it too deep. I'm not having to hit anything beneath. But we're going to use this roof snake because that's what they want us to use. And you'll see the flaw in this tool. So again, when I come here and I'm bumped up to this, all right, I'm gonna push it here. Jason, can you zoom in from there? Can you see that it's putting it right in the middle of the tar line?
I have to change my view.
Here, hand it to me, I might can get it.
Let me just zoom back.
Okay, guys, pardon the fingers. But you see right there, it's dead in the middle of the tar line, right? And look, that's right up against the surface like it's supposed to be. It's putting the nail in the tar line. That is an improper install. Now we are going to use this tool to put this in so that we have used the tool they requested us to use. But for you roofers out there, before you start sending me a bunch of hate mail, once we get done with this video, we are going to pull those nails back out, put the nails in the appropriate place, because we stand behind our roofs. We want to make sure that we installed this shingle correctly. Even though we know that it's not repairable, we want to make sure they don't have any possibility of leaks while we wait for that decision to come back. Now, as you can see, to sit back down on top of this, I can't hold here. And this is what's touching the bottom. Even if I put my hand here, it's still sitting down here. And as you can see, I'm gonna hold this with one finger. I'm on top of the nail now, finishing the drive. We've got it run down as far as we could. We had to come off the nail, sit back on top of it, and you can see how it hits this surface beneath me. Now, I literally have an indentation mark where granules coming out of from the bottom of this tool. So again, improper install. So can you see that, Jason? That's just where it drove the nail in on an angle.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's really bad angle. I hate this tool because you can't see what you're doing. Now, it looks like it works really easy. But when you're nailing in the middle of the tar lines, and you can see how this is kind of concave now, that means this section of this shingle is not going to be able to hear because that nail's holding it down. So again, we're changing out, showing that the roof is in fact brittle, which it is. Even using this tool, it's shown that for an improper install. This is not the tool that you want to use if you're a service professional. Ones that we took out of the top. Here. And again, I can see my indention on this new shingle that I just made using this tool. So again, not the tool that you want to use. Oh. Got your phone?
Yep.
Can you see this? I don't know if you can get it from here. I'm gonna lift, just try to keep it less than 45. You see what it did with the nail?
No, I can't hear it.
It's the perks of using that tool. Can't see what you're doing. I noticed the shingle wasn't sitting down like it normally would. Lifted it up. That's what happens when you use a tool that you can't see what you're doing. Now you see how that sits down flat. So again, I mean, the idea behind the tool was great. They just, whoever engineered that one wasn't a roofer. All right, we got one more on that side, and that should be all we need to put back. Other side of this second shingle. I always scoot just to the left where the old nail hole was at. I don't want to try to go back into the same nail hole, because again, we want to make sure we're catching fresh decking. That nail's going to hold really good, so always go just to the left or the right of the holes that was there before. But with that being said, we've got our nails in. Oh, my knees, get too old, get too old. We've got our nails in. You can see your creasing coming across here. You can see it really, really well right there. You see your creasing here. You see creasing here. You see it right all across the top. Again, we'll take a still picture at the end of this, but you can also see your creasing through here. You see it right there. When I lift this up and give you a little more sunshine on it, you can see it there. And of course, again, there. So we have creasing on 1, 2, 3, 4 shingles. So in the process of replacing this shingle, I've damaged 4. It's a not repairable roof. So guys, this should be everything that you need. Again, JT Trousdale, claim number 074-922-8978. Again, today's date's 10/18. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're a roofer, hopefully this taught you something. If you're the adjuster, you should have everything you need to make the appropriate decision for the customer. Take care.